Yeah. Okay, well, I have not really introduced you, but Ineke and especially Jump Movement, you're a worldwide partner of Female Wave of Change. So
Yeah.
that's really great. And the minute we said we're going to do this global celebration and we're going to do this marathon live stream of all these inspiring women, you really wanted to be part of it. So welcome. And you are already doing, well, you are doing exciting things based on Jump Movement. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, amazing to realize that we are connected globally today. This morning I already had seen some streams from Jane Anyango in Kenya. She's a dear friend of ours, and yeah, it's so amazing to know and realize that we are globally connected. So for that, I applaud us all.
Yeah. Thank you, Mia.
So, I think I will start, huh?
Yes, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks. Now, just wondering if we were still in the intro. I was thinking about how do I prepare for this global moment, and I thought I'm not going to prepare at all. I'm just jumping into it, and that is the thing that I have been learning, and that is also related to the topic that we are addressing today, and over a longer period of time, being a female, in this female wave of change, because to go based on your mind and your ideas on how things should work. I mean, I was a little bit nervous on the technical part. I WhatsApped with Sandra, like, oh my gosh, I don't have a link, what do I do? But now everything is just easy. When I go with the flow, and that's why I like this wave figure in the female wave of change. You're on a wave, you're surfing the waves, the water will bring you where you want to be. So that is actually very cool. Now, talking about Jump Movement, maybe you don't know it, maybe you do. It's a self-empowering and self-organizing conversation method, really simple, 7 steps. And it brings you in a group of people or in pairs. These 7 steps bring you very easy, in a very positive and light, like vibrant way, to your next step, to the decision that you make on bringing yourself a step further. And this method, I developed it 7 years ago, a bit over 7 years ago. And at this moment, we have been working with Jump Movement in about 12 countries, and we are almost touching 100,000 participants. So that is amazing. I started off experimenting this method with a group of women, 5 of my friends. And I was insecure. I didn't know if this could work or if this was good enough. I come from a consultancy background where all the difficult models, theoretical models, are very important to be able to certify or to, how do you say that, to pay, to get sent a big bill. You know, that was my idea. How the more complicated my work was, the higher my bill could be. So that is a very, very strange thought. So when I discovered Jump inside of me, I brought it out, and I was like starting it with the groups of people. In the first case, women, because I feel always when I'm experimenting, I always check that with my female friends. Because I know women are, and that is something I also discovered, that women are more open to test out new stuff where it's related to personal development. Men are not so open; they're a bit more scared. I'm exploring that more and more. So I always feel that women are the frontiers of change. And that is why that's the second reason why I'm so excited about the female wave of change. because being a founder of a movement like this, the projections of other people, women and also men, are really big. Sometimes nowadays even I encounter a guy saying, and he's saying, you're doing nice little things with women. And I laugh and I say, okay, you can look at it like that, but when you have reached 12 countries in about 100,000 participants, it's a bit more than working with now doing cool things with women. So then these guys are like, all right, I didn't know that. So that's another thing. Marketing yourself as a woman in your business, I think that's very important. I look at my company, and I have 2 companies at this moment, as my children. That's another female wave of looking at business. My Jump Movement is my daughter. She's 7, and I have another company. It's called IamNL, and that's a little boy, and he's just 4 months old. He's still a baby, but he's completely based on the philosophy of Jump Movement. So it's an offspring. It's a spin-off. It's a little brother of this method and this philosophy of Jump Movement. And in IamNL, we work with refugees. And in the Netherlands, in 2015, we had this really big crowd of refugees coming from the Arabic countries like Syria, Afghanistan, Iran, but also from the African countries like Eritrea and Ethiopia and Somalia. Somalia came a bit earlier, actually. But about 20,000 refugees entered our country. And it filled up the Dutch society with fear, because we didn't know what to do with those people. Well, how can we house them? How can we feed them? How can we make sure that they are safe? And there was a lot of opposition on the activities that took place. And now 3 years later, lots of these people are still living in the Netherlands, and they have got their permits to stay for 5 years. So they need to participate in this society. And I thought, if we are able to bring people in a space where they are acknowledged and where they are looked at as whole people, and where they are looked at as you are able to make your own decisions, I think it's possible that people can make steps and integrate and get a job and just participate in this society, because that is what everybody wants. A little side story behind the comma is that 30 years ago I fell in love with a refugee, and that was a very that was love. Of course, we fell in love, but I also did so many things wrong in that time, because I was involved as a girlfriend at the time, but also later I became a mother, because my youngest daughter is half Kenyan and half Dutch, so half me and half my ex-friend. We separated because the struggle in the cultures was so big, and this opportunity for me to give back to the refugee community in the Netherlands, that was something that touched my heart. So that experience from my own life, where I was really hurt and where I did really things wrong, as we all do in life, we make mistakes. And now I could bring Jump Movement back in the playground to heal that part in me, but also give opportunities to refugees in this country to integrate and to join in this society. I connected to my ex the other week again on this company, and I said, you are so much on my mind the last months. I think about you a lot, and I really need to apologize to you on the mistakes that I made and the mistakes my society made for you. He was 30 years ago, he was one of the first refugees ever to come into this country. He was invited by the United Nations to live here. And he was touched, and also I was. So I think that is where business, for me, business is all about, like making things round again and making things whole again. And not, I mean, I make a good living because I have a good business mind, but that is the second of the life that I'm fulfilling. My life is about connection, about options, about space, about giving people chances to learn and to develop and bringing them into their own space where they can find their answer. And that is where Jump Movement is all about. And that is where IamNL, this company for refugees, it's a startup. We call it a startup. It's a company where they are 40 hours a week. And they encounter obstacles in their life to participate towards this society, and we give them space to work on these obstacles, to get rid of the obstacles. And it's really cool. Sometimes I can even cry 3 times a day of happiness that I'm able to do this work and to surf this wave, because I'm really surfing this wave at the moment. I'm 55, and it feels like my life has just started again, which is cool. So I think this is a small, I'm always into interaction. So whenever you feel like jumping in and just asking questions, or please feel free to do, because I love the interaction. And I can talk for hours, but I love to hear responses. What does this little intro that I give, what does it trigger in you, or which questions do arise? Please feel free to ask. I don't know if I can see that in my screen. I think I can.
Yes, you have to open up the chat box, Ineke. Okay.
Yeah, that's where I see ready. Where I type that.
That's
to everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, now I know the system. So, the topic of today is, of course, how can we establish more strength and power for women to take charge and to get more into the leadership? And I'm exploring this every day, because for me, it's more the not doing instead of the doing. So that's a hypothesis. How do you say it? Hypothesis. I'm exploring. The male way of leading is more doing. It's more thinking and doing, and I think the female way of leading is more the not doing and the feeling. So the connecting the head to the heart and back, because I always feel like that's a loop. When I need to think. Day by day, I need to think. This brain of mine is really cool, because it helps me to connect the heart and the belly, because that's also 2 different parts of us. So we have our belly where life starts, and the heart where it's like the bottom. That's the basic and the core of life. And in your belly, the new life starts. That is cool. I think as a metaphor, it's really cool. And you need your head to combine these 3 and to make it into a loop, to go back and forth. And cutting off there, that makes the journey really long. I mean, it's about 30 centimeters from there to there, but when you make the blockage here, it's really long and it's really hard to get there. So for women, I think it's cool to have more in our languages and in the way that we speak, also towards men, words like waves, or I use a metaphor of my 2 companies being my children. These guys are really like laughing. They're not laughing at me, but they're laughing with me, because I think it's a funny metaphor. But it brings this part of your being into the game. It brings up, because men also have feelings when they think of their children. The moment I ask a manager or a board or a CEO, do you have children? They soften instantly. So do you have children? Yeah, I have children. So how do you treat your children when they learn stuff? And they just explore and they say, yeah, well, when they want to ride bicycles, we just help them. And yeah, we make this a little adventure or something. And say, when your child falls off their bicycle, are you giving them a bad judgment, or do you give them a notice in their report? Oh, they say no. So I say, why do you do that with your employees, with your co-workers? They are your children. Metaphorically speaking, you're their dad. I'm their dad. No, I'm not their dad. Yes, you are, because that's the projection. When we are leaders, we are the moms and dads of an organization. For me, that's logic. So being that, it's also very handy to look at people as growing up adults. We are all children, all of us. Still, even when we are 90, there's this little child in us being insecure and feeling, I don't know. Knowing that is really, it makes it so easy. You see? Yeah, I like that. I like to look at it like that. So me being the mom, and my child Jump Movement is 7. She can walk to school alone. She does cool things alone. And there are so many people taking care of her. Like when we leave our children at, oh, thanks, Mariska. You love that metaphor. You could relate to it, huh? It makes it so easy to look at life, because when your child is 7, it wants to go to school alone. It wants to do stuff alone. It says, Mom, don't be silly. Mom, go away. So this mom went to have another baby. And that helps the first baby, you know. It helps Jump Movement a lot that I gave birth to another baby, because Jump Movement is bigger than ever. So stepping back and giving space, yeah, that is really cool. And that's something we also need to learn, being leaders, to let go, not to drop it, because that's something else. To drop things, then it falls down, and that's hurtful. But to let it go is this image, and then still the bits that don't want to go can stay in your hand, but it's open. It can decide to leave. So it's not letting go. It's not like that. It's like that. This is holding on. When there's something in your hand, it takes a lot of strength for me to hold on to it. But when I do like that, it's so easy, because the parts that want to go and have the freedom, they just go. So being a mom, being a wife, being a daughter, being a sister, that's all in my leadership. That's all in my leadership. And that's all in the way that I work. I love it. And sometimes, like in the new company, of course, we have big investors. We don't work with subsidies. We don't work with government support. We work with investors, like a bank and an equity fund. That is very interesting. So I have a man besides me, Mark, my business partner. He's the guy with the head. I sometimes need to help him go there. But we, as a team, we are fantastic, because now we balance. Okay, let's see. PC000. I don't have a question, but I find you a very interesting and inspiring woman. Oh, thank you so much. You have an interesting name. PC. Thank you. Thank you for feedback. Complementing each other. Very cool, Mariska. Yes, of course. In the jump, there's also this part. At the third question, you ask, who are you being at this moment? So how do you feel? How are you? And whatever someone gives as an answer, the other ones give you a compliment on it. And you cannot hide advice in it. Because giving an advice, that's actually not a compliment. Huh? An advice is actually, okay, you do great, but I think this is better. Only if someone asks you for an advice. That's the only time that you could give it. Can you advise me? Yeah. So the metaphor is very, very cool. And it's, I have a plan to write a book about it. So motherhood of leadership, something like that. I think that's nice too. The motherhood of having the motherhood in the CEO, or I don't know the title yet, but I'm open for suggestions. So if you have, ideas, just bring them to me. You could also bring it later, but it has to do with that. Mariska has a question. Is Jump something that can be done online as well? Any advice on how to best make use of that? Okay, good question, Mariska. So there's one thing you could do is get your telephone and download the app. So that is number one. When you download the app, you have the script available. It's free. Jump Movement is for free. And when you're not a Dutch, when you don't have a Dutch phone, it's automatically in English. So everybody could download it. And then you could have someone in real life working with you, like maybe I would do the jump with Ingun, and one of us would read the 7 steps, and we would answer, both of us. So the role of the jump starter would be one of us. Now online, I do jumps with people all over the world, just with Skype or conference calls, really easy. I jump with people in China, or like the last time was Bangladesh, someone in Bangladesh. So that's also a way to do it. Cool, lots of potential. Yes, it is. We did one a long time ago, Sandra, huh? Yeah. Oh, you did with Mariska? I don't know. But still, Jump is available for everybody. And for the female wave of change, we try to give also background on how to implement it. And there are 2 ways to get trained to do that. And you could find it on our website. But I'm not planning to be commercial or something, but I know people sometimes want to really learn more about the method and implementation ways. And then that's where we deliver these trainings for. But the Jump on itself, like using it on your iPhone or your Samsung phone, that's free. You could just do it, try it out, and send us questions if you have them. And also send us your experiences, because I always want to know, how did you experience it, and especially in the other countries, in the other parts of the world where it seems that we have other cultures, but I have not ever encountered a culture in the world that couldn't work with this method, because it's so based on connection, so based on giving yourself and the other ones the space that you need. Yeah. So, any more questions? Because how am I doing on the time, Ingun?
You're doing great. Can you explain us a little bit more, tell us a little bit more about IamNL, what you're actually doing there?
So we noticed that in four areas of life, refugees in the Netherlands have encountered obstacles. So first of all, there's the language. The Dutch language is difficult, and when you come from Syria or from Eritrea, this language, the German language, is really difficult. So that's one. The mindset, that's another thing, because in Syria you work, and in the Netherlands you need to have a job. That's different, because in the Netherlands the job is like, how do you say that? It's based, or it's embedded in lots of rules and laws and don'ts and don'ts, and you are protected as an employee, but you have also lots of obligations and duties. In Syria, it was like, oh, I like to work with fabrics, just let's make curtains. And you just start. And you have a brother and he's helping you, or you or you sit on the sidewalk in the morning with your hammer when you're a carpenter, and these cars come by and say, okay, I need you. Then you have work. That's so different. We have complicated our work system so much here in the Western countries. So the mindset on work is really different. Now the third one is job awareness, or profession awareness. We have professions. You are this or that, or you're not someone who does work. No, you have this label being I don't know, electrical engineer or a trainer or a school teacher. And in lots of other countries, you just do the work that's available. So awareness on professions. And then the last one is chance and network. Now, these 4 areas, we encounter obstacles, and people are working on these 4 areas in IamNL. Practically, we have this big office building. It's like 450 square meters, like open space, like very open. Everybody can see everybody all the time. And we have little rooms where they have this very intense language trainings. So in the morning, the core of the activities is language training. We have a very cool language training institute here in the Netherlands called Regina Cheli, who work with us, and they provide these trainings. So people have an hour training and an hour study, hour training, hour study. So it's really intense, really short, and it provides everybody to get their permits to stay, because people have to get good results on 5 exams called speaking, listening, understanding, reading, and knowledge of the Dutch society. And some people need to go over orientation on the Dutch labor market. But 5 parts need to be blocked off or need to be succeeded in exams. That alone is really crazy. But still, I can have an opinion on that, but people need to do that. Now, in the afternoons, I'm in this area of the Netherlands. I'm really involved in the organizations that work here, in the companies. So I use my network to bring in lots of people that come and drink coffee. So we have employers, we have employment agencies, we have all kinds of projects, and we all invite them to have coffee and to go over what do you have to offer, what is your question, because the labor market in this area is really good on the technical part. We have in this area, in Eindhoven area, is a high-tech area where a lot of new companies are arising and where people with practical skills are needed. We have really a big lack of practical skilled people. And lots of the people that are here from the refugee group start off on that level. So I like that a lot. I drink coffee and tea all the time, talking to people. What's your problem? What kind of people do you need? And then we just create connections. So it's very vibrant. It's never the same day. So every day is different. And people refer to IamNL, our co-workers there refer to that as my family. So they feel this is a family. And they address me as Mama Ineke, which is so cool. And that was what I was referring to before, my leadership, motherhood in leadership. And they address it very naturally. You're like a mother. You just always are there. And I'm not always there, but in support, I'm always there. And I never give someone an advice. I never say to someone, do you know what you need to do is this and this? I never do that. I just always say, what do you think? What do you like? What do you want? What's your idea? What triggers you? What seems good for you? So I always give room for growth and go for having their own ideas. And so now I'm looking at the companies here in this area and looking at them as are you the new family for one of my employees? I'm just looking for 50 new families. That cannot be so hard, can it? So that's what we do.
Okay, so you're very much focused on jobs. Is there an opening towards becoming an entrepreneur? And I know that the Dutch system is really tough. Yeah, because of the rules. Yeah.
Yeah. I like to look at it as a career ladder. So the ladder, huh? And you have to take your steps. And I think the first step on this career ladder, that's the first available job. Okay. Because the biggest desire for people in this situation is to stop having welfare.
Yeah.
They get unemployment benefits. That is very difficult for people to get because they have their pride. I mean, when you come from Syria in a boat and a train and walking and you have to do this to a government, please help me to support my family, that is very difficult for people. So the first mission for everybody, that is not something I put in, but everybody says, I want to stop having the uitkering, so the unemployment benefit. I want to support myself and my family, so get me a job. I know there are some people who can really be entrepreneurs because they are so talented. But that is maybe the second or the third or the fourth step on the ladder. That's something we discuss, that we talk about, because we are so complicated now, let alone be an employee, but let alone be an entrepreneur. That is so difficult. I mean, we can relate to that, all three of us, how difficult it could be in the Dutch society and the Dutch governmental whatever. We have such a complicated system.
Yeah.
So no, we don't block it, but we say make wise decisions, and we stay connected for 2 years with everybody. Huh? So we have our job is done when someone is being independent for 2 years. So not fall back into the unemployment benefit. And there are really cool projects, like Professor Josette Dijkhuizen, one of my professional friends here in Eindhoven. She's really into working with refugees or people from and women from the sexual abused background, like our former speaker was talking about. She helps them to become entrepreneurs. She did really big research on being an entrepreneur. I admire her a lot for her work. And she has great opportunities. In IamNL, we are not focused on that. When it occurs, we empower it, and we want people to take their first step on the ladder as soon as possible, as quick as possible. Yeah.
Okay, if no one else is asking questions, I just keep on going. So in the beginning, you mentioned that you used the Jump Movement method to build this new company. So where can we see this Jump Movement influence?
Yeah, one of the characteristics of Jump Movement is that we deliver a space where everybody can find their own answer. So that is also seen in the physical space that we created with IamNL. It's like a very open space, and we only adjust little things in the decoration, for example. So we have 3 teams in the organization because people are the organization. We don't have a facilities team from outside in. People are their own facilities team. We have marketing team, facilities, and administration. And the mission of the facilities team is that's printed on the wall, and it says, I make sure everybody feels welcome here. So the first days or the first weeks, you could, when you imagine a 400 square meter office building with no furniture, there was nothing. We deliberately did that because and the people came in, the first group of 25, they were like confused, like, what is this? And we said, this is your company. Here you can work on yourself. This is the space that you can use to work on yourself, to get yourself to your next job. This is your first job. And then they say, where are the furnitures? And we said, oh, they're not here. So, so what next?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Figure it out.
Figure it out. Yeah. And not figure it out, but so what's next? So they said, oh, we need to hire a van, and we need to look at marketplace, the marketplace online, and we need to, and they did. And then a week later, we had all the furniture, everything was there. We had coffee, we had tea. So I remember this anecdote in the first week after we started, the sugar was finished. So someone came up to me saying, Ineke, the sugar is finished. I said, oh, okay. And he said, can you get sugar at the supermarket? I said, I don't take sugar in my tea. Oh, he was like, okay. Should I get it? I said, that's a good plan. Okay. So then he said, can I have some money? Yeah, sure. How much do you need? Oh, yeah. So I gave him money. He came back, and he came back with 2 kilos of sugar, looking at me saying, this is not such a good idea. I said, okay, tell me why. He said, yeah, next week I need to go on my bike again to the supermarket to get some sugar. Why not make a list of groceries and stuff that we need all the time, so we can make an inventory of the stuff we need? So I said, now this is the birth of the other department in the facilities. Very good. So now we go to the how do you say that, the groothandel, to the wholesaler. And once 3 weeks, someone with a car drives to the wholesaler, and they just stuff in like the toilet paper and everything, and then they have it. So yeah, that is very cool. Yeah. So so the philosophy of Jump is like in every breath that we take in IamNL. So not giving advice, not taking over the decision, the decision space of someone else. Trusting that everybody has their own answer. Not doing for the other, but doing for yourself. And of course, physically, we jump. We do jumps all the time. People know the method. Everybody is jump starting. And they just say, let's do jump. And yeah, they use the method also to sit down, reflect, and make a decision, which is really cool.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
This morning we had Alice. Alice is actually a refugee from Zimbabwe. She lives now for quite some time in the UK and does a lot of work with refugees. And well, she said, just listen to their stories. They just want a home. They just want to feel like everything. They have a house, they have, food on the table, and, their needs can be so simple when they start here, but listen to them and, do what you can to make them feel at home. That's very important. And she says, I want to be that echo. I like that. We have to challenge the stereotypes of refugees. There's still so many people who have they're biased about what is going on and about how these people are and things like that.
The Syrians, the Eritreans. So how are the Syrians? I say the Syrians, they don't exist. They're coming from Syria, and they're all unique, like we are. They're all unique.
Yeah, absolutely.
Somehow, they're like us. I mean, you get irritated by people, or sometimes, of course, that's normal. Yeah, but they're not holier than us, but they have a really, really, really intense experience in their life. Absolutely. And talking to a father, and he's really revealing how that crossover with the boat went. I can cry. I mean, that is heartbreaking when you hear that story. And I bow my head all the time for the courage and the strength and the power that these people have to just leave everything. I mean, I cannot even comprehend the idea that I could leave here, walk to Timbuktu and be there, nobody. Yeah. That is mind-blowing when you really feel that. So I can only have the biggest respect for people who challenge their lives and their children's lives to be safe. And it's terrible. These things need to be happening in this world. I mean, this planet is a great place, but it's also a very nasty place when you look at that. The dark side is also there.
Yeah.
But this drive of these people to be safe and to have a good future for their children, that is the holiest of everything. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for that.
Yeah, you go back to the basic things. Yeah, and that's also a reason to do something for them or with them. You know, I always think, what if it's us? What if it's my children? You know, if we right now, we live in a very comfortable situation, but if something happens here, and you know, for me, you know, they will probably tell me already, I'm 58, you don't have to come because you're too old. You will not survive the trip or something like that. But, you know, what if it is my children who will have to be on the run and hope that in that other country there is someone or that is that organization that will support them to start building that new future. And that is very important, I think.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, Ineke, we have to finish off because it's very interesting, very inspiring. We will absolutely talk more because I do believe that there are already other countries who are interested in getting started with the Jump movement. So we'll have to get that started. But as far as our program goes, we have in 2 minutes.
We have to jump to South Africa.
We are going to jump to South Africa. Yes, to Bello is waiting. So thank you very much for your inspiration and also for your partnership with Female Wave of Change. We really appreciate that.
Yes. And good luck with your children.
Thanks.
Okay.
So much. Have a good day. And see you all in real life one day.
Yes.
Good luck with you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. But we can hear them.
Oh, lovely. Thank you very much. So we are ready for you. And I will be handing over to Mom Yvonne